everyone. I'm glad that you're joining me for my first Facebook Live. I'm going to just make sure that my computer over here is up so I can see comments too, just in case I can't see them on my phone. I have it precariously perched on this tray thing right now, and my family is outside playing, and I'm in the only place in my home that I think is semi-quiet. I'm in my basement, so you will see. It's kind of funny that we're talking about toys today because I'm in my husband's basement where he has all of his toy collection. Behind me are all the bobbleheads. But let me just make sure that my computer is showing up so I can look at all of your comments. How is everyone today? Did anyone get a Sunday nap? I did not get a Sunday nap. I was kind of sad about that. I let my husband lay down with my 2-year-old so that way she could make sure she got a nap. We have a sitter coming in about an hour, so we wanted to make sure she was nice and rested for her because that would not be good for anyone if she was not well rested. Okay, I think I'll be able to see comments. So today I wanted to talk about construction play and what that means. So that means any type of toy that you can use to build something or make something. And so usually the first thing that comes to mind are unit blocks, which are these wooden blocks. All of the toys that I'm going to show you today are things that I took straight from my kids' playroom, which is back there. Just to remind you, if you are new to the page, I have 4 children. My youngest daughter is 2. My son is 4. He's going to be 5 at the beginning of November, which is still shocking to me because he was just a little tiny baby when we moved here. My other son is 9 and my daughter is 11. So I have a range of children, but these are all things that my kids have played with at one time or they still currently play with. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what ages that they started to show interest in these things. But the first thing that I wanted to show you are these unit blocks. And these are Melissa and Doug unit blocks. You can get unit blocks from a lot of places. I found that Melissa and Doug is the most cost friendly for a home version. If you are a classroom, you may want to look at some of the educational catalogs because the wood is a little bit more sturdy and they hold up over time. But a fun fact, in case you ever go on Jeopardy or something, hey Katie, is that Unit Blocks, the founder of Unit Blocks, her name was Carolyn Pratt, and she took the idea from Friedrich Froebel, which he is the father of kindergarten, and so kindergarten is actually German and it means children's garden. But Friedrich Froebel, when he created kindergarten, he created a series of toys that he wanted the children to play with during the day. And one of those things were these blocks that you took all of these small pieces and it made a big unit. And so Carolyn Pratt took that idea and made them bigger. So she's the founder of the unit block. And the neat thing about unit blocks are there's one unit and you have multiple pieces that make up that unit. So it's really like fractions. So you see like the smaller ones, if you add them all up, they make one unit. But these are Melissa and Doug. This is something, and I'm going to talk about these a little bit later in the live, but this is something that I really, really strongly suggest you purchase. This is something that my 2-year-old plays with. This is something that my 9-year-old plays with. I won't say that my 11-year-old plays with them because in case any of her friends are watching, she would be mortified. But hey, in the comments, let me know what ages your children are at home. And if you've started Christmas shopping, that's kind of my hope, is that maybe these will give you some ideas of things you can put on Christmas lists. I have not started Christmas shopping, but just let me know. I'm going to check out these comments here and see if I can see them as they scroll. So the first thing is unit blocks. Hey, Katie. Yes, Bricky. Bricky, I can't believe our kids are going to be 5. So unit blocks is definitely the first thing. Another type of block that you think about is probably Legos. But before you go to Legos, because they're so small, and Legos are great for like 3-year-olds if they're not putting things in their mouth. If they have the fine motor control to take them apart, Legos are great, but you might want to do something like Duplo blocks first, and there's all different kinds of sets, and it's up to you whether or not you want to buy like a specific set. Don't get upset when they take apart. Ours, I think, is the Jake and Neverland pirate ship, but don't be upset when they take it apart and want to build something different. But they're great, and these are also great because they're totally washable. You can dip them in bleach water at the end of the day if they get nasty. But we have lots of Legos and lots of Duplo blocks at home too. That's a really hard thing to say. But we do love those. Another type of building block that we have that we use a lot are the I feel like I should be a spokeswoman for Melissa and Doug, but are the Melissa and Doug cardboard blocks. We got these several years ago, and it's just kind of nice because they're big and they can build things that they can get into. They can build an enclosure around themselves, and because they're cardboard, if they fall down over them, it's not scary. It doesn't hurt them. I will tell you that if you do purchase these for Christmas, I don't know if you can see, they have like seams. You have to assemble them. So it's kind of annoying that you have to put them together, and it will take you a long time. So start before Christmas Eve if you are wanting them to have them all put together for Christmas morning. But we do love these, and it's something we play with. We don't keep them out all the time just because they're kind of big, so I do sometimes put them in a box and put them in the closet and then get them out so it's something new and exciting for them. But it is definitely a fun activity for them. Yes, washable. We all need washable things. One of my favorite things, my dad bought these for Bricky, are Magna-Tiles. These again are kind of expensive, but they're building blocks and they're magnets and they stick together. Now I do have to say, because they're magnets, you have to be careful of little children, because if they somehow were to get these plastic pieces apart, there are tiny, tiny magnets in there, and it would not be good if they swallowed them. So you have to watch with really close supervision. And we only have one set. I've seen on the internet where people have tons and tons of these, and you can make some really cool things. But like I said, they are kind of expensive. But if you're looking for something to add to your collection, this might be a good thing. This, if I could create a Christmas list, I would ask for a light table for my own house. But these Magna-Tiles are amazing on a light table because they're translucent and you can see through them. And they just look really pretty on a light table. So that's kind of a neat added thing to add to that type of play. Let me move those out of the way a little bit. Bristle blocks. So I like bristle blocks because they come in their own container. And I think these are called Young Bricks. But bristle blocks are easier than Legos. So if you're a child, if you think maybe your kiddo's ready for Legos, but you don't think they have the finger dexterity to pull them apart, because sometimes even these Duplo ones can be a little bit tricky. Bristle blocks are wonderful because they do just fit in and out. My 9-year-old still loves to play with these, and there's all different shapes. We just have one set again, but you could go crazy and get a whole bunch of sets. But you can make anything. I think ours used to have some wheels in it, maybe not anymore, but they do. It's kind of like a brush, and they just stick inside. These two are plastic, so they are washable, but they are a little bit trickier to get dry because they have the deep grooves in them. But this is a fun thing, and I like that it has its own container and you can just set it on the shelf when you're done. Does anybody have these things at home? Do you have any bristle blocks? Something that my daughter plays with at Child Care Center are pop beads, and I would love to get some pop beads for her for Christmas. She really seems to always be like using those there. I'm gonna move this phone a little bit so I can see. Oh yes, you just got those and your boys love them. Good, I'm glad. Hi Tamra, hi Felicia. This is one of my favorite things. We got this for Brixton a couple years ago. They're called Keva blocks, Keva blocks maybe, but they look kind of like flat Jenga pieces. And so this, I was trying to look before I got on here, and that would have been something smart for me to do for an age range. And I couldn't find an age, but I'll look that up. And when I make my post for the blog, I'll definitely put the age range on there. But these are they're just tiny. They're all the same. They kind of remind me of like, I don't know, trim pieces or something, but they're all the same. And you get these cards in there. And this is so great for spatial recognition. Brixton is remarkably good at this. I try to do these and I have a hard time. I don't like puzzles, and I'm not This is just not my thing, but this is his thing. So it gives you a picture of what it looks like built. And on the back, it gives you like plans and tells you how to do it. So it tells you what the front looks like, what the top looks like, what the side looks like. But there's all different ones in here, and it goes by difficulty level. But these are so fun, and he will spend hours, well, not hours, but he'll spend a good chunk of time doing these. I actually took these to one of the college classes I teach, and I timed my students to see how fast they could do some of these things, because some of them are really tricky, but it's really great to do this. But these are fun. So if you have an older kiddo and you're watching this and you're thinking, block play, we're beyond that, this is great, because Zaven loves this too. But I think Brixton's better at it than Zaven. Good thing they don't have social media yet. You don't like puzzles either. Me either. I don't know. That's terrible. I feel like I'm so anti-preschool because I don't like puzzles and I don't like glitter, but it's the truth. So another really great thing about block play, one way you can kind of extend the play is to take the blocks outside. And so in our play group on Fridays, we have some blocks that we use outside. And maybe I should be good and take our Melissa and Doug blocks out, but I love going to thrift stores. And so one day when I was in thrift stores, I found these blocks, and I think what they actually are outside Jenga blocks, and they were so cheap, y'all, but we have gotten so much use out of these. And they're actually lighter than these Melissa and Doug. This one's heavier than this. So it's really great if the children are building really tall. If it falls, it's not too scary. So we've combined these blocks with some like big mailing tubes when I meant to get them. But on my picture for the Facebook Live, you saw a picture of Brixton building with these blocks and the mailing tubes, and he was making ramps for his cars. But so it's great to take your blocks, take them out on your porch, see what they do with them. Add some other things to your blocks, like cars, and I had a car, or, hold on a second. If you saw my post about dramatic play or small world play, we talked about dollhouse dolls. It's great to add these to your block play, because then it just creates a reason for building a structure. So definitely try that, and definitely just take the blocks outside. Take your Legos outside because they're washable. Take your Duplo blocks outside. Okay, so we kind of have talked about blocks, but let's think a little bit non-traditional as far as building things. And one of the things that we have in our house that we love are wooden train track pieces. So I'm actually right beside our train table, and it's kind of messy and it's not built. Does anybody else have a train table that the track never stays on? We keep saying, my husband and I keep saying that we're going to glue it down and nail it, kind of like they did back at Toys R Us, because every time we would go to Toys R Us, my kids would play with that train table forever, and I'm like, we have the same train table at home. But they do love train track pieces, and they'll build it on the train table, they'll build it other places. But the great thing is it has different pieces, so it has like squiggle pieces, straight pieces, and it's a great way to just figure out, can we build something that turns the corner? Can we build something that goes straight? And then you have some of the pieces that rise it, so you can build ramps with your train track. But this is just a little bit non-traditional way to think about building. You can add your wooden train track to your unit blocks as well, so that's great. Caitlin, hey, Caitlin's on here, and she's probably so sick of watching. She used to have to be in my classes and watch me teach online too. She said she was using her blocks to trace for her geometry unit. That's amazing. And you're right, using real world images. Caitlin went to Reggio Emilia with me this last spring, and it was amazing. I am going to bring up about making blueprints for our unit blocks. We're going to come back to these unit blocks, I promise. Okay, so back to train tracks. Another thing I love, so I don't know what brand this is. I think it was an Imaginarium table, but I know like IKEA has wooden train tracks that you can buy. So you can buy these like almost anywhere. Another type of train track that we love is the Thomas the Train motorized train track, and they're plastic. The reason I love them, and I meant to get batteries for our train before I got on here, but I didn't, is you can build, it's kind of the same thought pattern behind the wooden ones. You have your curved pieces, your straight pieces. Some of them are ramped. You can have some bridge pieces, so things that you can make bridges. We keep these in a closet because otherwise they will build and leave it out in our living room for days and days and days. But my kids love doing this with my husband. I think every time my dad would come visit, my kids wanted to build trains with him too. So the trains, you have the plastic pieces, and then you have the Thomas trains that are battery powered. And like I said, I forgot to put batteries in it. But it's so cool because you can build the track, set your train on it, and see where he goes. You can find out, like that is too steep for our train to get up, or that ramp isn't gonna work, or we have a break in the track, we have to fix it. So it's really great problem solving for children. But this is one of they are kind of expensive, but you can buy smaller sets, but it's a good thing to put on your list if you have a train loving kid that you wanna incorporate some more construction play. Okay, another non-traditional kind of construction toy that my boys love, and my daughter loves it too. And this one is not really for kiddos that are really young because it has marbles and we don't want them to put it in their mouth. But is the marble run. And so it has all of these tube pieces, and you can build all sorts of ways for the marble to go down the tubes and through the ramps and through the funnels. Super fun. My boys, we have a couple sets of these, so they like to combine them. But like I said, if you have little kids in your home, make sure they're doing it at a table and you're really watching that marble, because we don't want anybody putting that in their mouth. Or if they play it down in the basement while the little ones are upstairs, that's a good idea as well. Let me see, I was just going to, it's so funny how I have this. Caitlin says at least it's not freezing, and I'm not. One time we were having a class on Zoom, and the computer froze, which it might because I'm down here, but the computer froze and I had this awful face, and she screenshotted it and sent it to me, and it became like our meme for the semester. So I'm gonna hope that it doesn't happen tonight, but there's no guarantees. Two more things before we go back to the unit blocks. Construction play would not be construction play if we didn't talk about real construction. This is a Melissa and Doug wooden set. So this is for like your younger set of kids. Quinlan just got this for her second birthday, and I'm in love with it. It's so cute. So it has a little wooden hammer. It has some screws and some bolts. So there's ways for them to build some things with, they have some wood pieces already cut out that you can use. Hold on. You can use like the different shapes. So you can talk about shapes and colors with this set, and it just twists on. There are some wrenches in here and some screwdrivers because you can use the little notches to use a screwdriver. So this is a great introduction to tools. I'm going to say something that might rock your world now. So this is for the younger set. Brixton last year for Christmas got this set of tools. So this he got, and I think we just got this at Lowe's or maybe Home Depot. I'll find out for sure. But it comes with little safety glasses and a little work gloves and a real screwdriver. And well, it did have, it has a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver. Katie Drain, I feel like you probably grew up having one of these since you're so handy. And it comes with a little hammer, and this one is a 4-ounce hammer. So it actually works. We bought him some nails the other day. But he hasn't built anything yet, but we have gotten scrap pieces of wood that he's put some nails into. We first started with Brad, like upholstery nails, because they're thicker or they're fatter and they're easier for him to hit. You can do this with like golf tees and like styrofoam or cardboard boxes. Hey, it's fall, so you could do this with pumpkins and golf tees right now. But one of the things that I love about Reggio Emilia is sometimes you'll go in the ateliers at the preschool classrooms and the children are using tools. And so they're using hammers, they're using real nails, and they're building things. I think it's a great skill. It's a great eye-hand coordination. I think it tells children that we trust them, that we value them. Obviously, you would use a lot of supervision, and you have to have some ground rules in place. When I was a preschool teacher, one of our centers for a little bit of time, hey mom, my mom's on here, was we had a woodworking station. So we had scrap pieces of wood and nails and hammers, and we had people from the community donate that stuff for us, and the children loved it. And we had a lot of group meeting times where we talked about how to be safe with the tools and how the tools had to stay in the tool center and what we could build, and it was just a great experience. But this is something you can think about for your children. And of course, maybe it's not something you're going to keep on the shelf for them if you are a little nervous of where they're going to take this hammer. We don't hammer glass, we don't hammer nails into other things. So it might be something that you just get out together, and that's when you work together with this. But construction play, and maybe think about it, because it's a good tool for them, and it's another way for them to create something bigger than themselves. Okay, so let's go back to the unit blocks. You might even, does anyone have unit blocks at home? I don't know. I can't remember. I think, honestly, I got this set from Kohl's way back in the day. I think it was, Kinsley was maybe 1, I think is when she got it. So Kinsley's 11 now. All of our blocks are great. We use this piece all the time. We use these pieces for Play-Doh rolling, and so they've held up really well. But there's been times throughout the years where these blocks have just sat in the crate and we haven't played with them. And I think that I've read a lot of things online about children just aren't excited about block play in the home. I think we have to show them sometimes what we can do with blocks besides just building a tower. Caitlin, you had a great example of using this for geometry, tracing this. Let me show you something. I'm like, I have everything all over the place. So one of the easiest ways that you can extend block play is just to add some clipboards in your area where you have the blocks. So maybe it's in your toy room. If you're in a classroom, you could put some clipboards by the block center. But if you put some clipboards out there, maybe even some graph paper, because it makes them feel really, really special, and you talk to them about making a blueprint. So this is what my 4-year-old, let me take this off, my 4-year-old made. And he was using this not with our unit blocks, but our big outdoor Jenga blocks and our tube pieces, our mailing tube. So you can see he has the tube here and he has the rectangle. So this is the structure that he wants to build. We haven't built it yet. I just gave him this last night and said, hey, you know how we make blueprints? Can you make a blueprint for my friends so I can show them tomorrow? And so this is what he made. So the really cool thing about this is we would take this next, which I'm not going to do today because I'm going on a date in a little bit. But you would take this and you would take all the blocks and you would have them make this and kind of let them lead that exploration. Maybe you could talk about counting. How many rectangles did you have? So let's count. Okay, let's gather that many rectangles. How many cylinders did you have? So you're already talking about shapes. You're talking about cylinders. You're talking about rectangles, which cylinder is a 3-dimensional shape. What is the 3-dimensional shape of a rectangle? It's not a cube. Come on, help me out. I don't know. But so you would talk about how to make this. And obviously, he's going to have some issues. So there's going to be some problem solving that's going to occur in the middle because we can't build a structure like that without something supporting it. So we would go through all of those steps and talk about it. It's really great. NAEYC has on their webpage, which I'll link to it in our post, has 10 reasons why block play is important for children. NAEYC is the National Association for Education of the Young Children. And so they talk about block play as building self-confidence, as helping children to be creative, helping children to be problem solvers. It builds math skills. In math skills, you can think about all the different ways. So geometry, measurement. So we had to count how many blocks. Even if you're not building something, if you have you can use these blocks and we can measure. We can see how many blocks tall Quinlan is. We can see how many blocks tall I am. I can lay down on the ground and let them use this. Because if we're counting all of the same block, that's a standard unit of measurement. And so that becomes like using a yardstick or using a tape measure. So we're learning about measurement in that way. And we can write that down on our clipboard. Once again, that clipboard comes into handy. And this was another blueprint that he drew. Another really great thing that you can add into the block area, either in your home or the school, is real blueprints or real, like the next time you do like a guilt purchase, like I purchased the teal cabinet from Aldi not very long ago, but save your instructions or save your IKEA instructions. Ask families, hey, if you buy furniture that you have to assemble, save those instructions for me and stick them in your block play center or with your tools and see what the children have come up with after they look at it. You might give them some ideas. They'll just pretend play and look at those. But this is a great piece of literature. It's one way to tell children that reading is important, and this is one of the reasons we use reading. Does anyone have any questions? I feel like I talk a mile a minute. I always do. I hope that gave you some ideas of some things. I'll have all of the links in my blog post for you, and I'll link the 10 reasons why block play is important from NAEYC. I'm so glad that you joined me, and I'm glad. I hope it didn't freeze and I didn't make a crazy face. We'll see if Caitlin sends me a funny picture later. But thank you. I hope you join me next week. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Once again, I am not an expert at all in the area. You can probably hear I have one screaming upstairs, but I'm not an expert at all in the area. I have had 4 kids and I've worked in a preschool, and but if I have any ideas, I'm going to share them. If you have ideas about block play, please share them in the comments because we would love to see them. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Bye.